This is Speaking with the Enemy.
Well, it may be a short week, a short turnaround for the Ticats, having just played Friday, getting set for their game in Ottawa on Wednesday. But of course, we have all your favorite shows here on the Ticats Audio Network, and that includes Speaking with the Enemy. And with the Ottawa Redblacks set to host the Ticats, very pleased to be joined by the voice of the Redblacks. You can find him on TSN 1200 in Ottawa. It's AJ Jakubec. AJ, thank you for giving me some time this afternoon. And it's safe to say for the Redblacks, this probably isn't the way, sitting at the bottom of the East Division, Dominique Davis under center. This is not the way the Redblacks probably saw their season going, is it?
No, it's been a tough start for sure. I think, when you look at 2019, I mean, they knew they needed to make some changes, and I think they, made some key and appropriate changes in that off season. But, a lot of things have happened since then, and I'm not sure that any team in the CFL has been hit as hard. Every team got hit with some retirements and injuries and that sort of thing, from 2019 to 2021. But I'm not sure a team got hit, especially so late, harder than the Ottawa Redblacks. I mean, they lost one of the best cover guys in the league in terms of special teams and JP Bolduc to retirement. Then they lost Corey Tyndall, who's, one of the best blitzers in the Canadian Football League, to retirement. And then two all-star Canadians, which you just can't replace, and four-time 1,000-yard guy, Brad Sinopoli, who's, next stop is the Hall of Fame, and Alex Mateus, who's an all-star center. And the fact that Mateus' backup, their first-round pick from 2019, Alex Fontana, got hurt and couldn't play. And then you add in Jalen Saunders, who, of course, Ticats fans know all too well, with a car accident. And, they were kind of behind the eight ball from the outset. And then combination of injuries to start this season. I mean, it's been a real lengthy list. You look at the O-line in particular, they haven't been able to dress the same five guys game to game. And this week there's six guys that have started on the O-line this year that are either limited in practice or did not practice so far this week. So they've been hit hard by injuries, and quite frankly, Matt Nichols' arm didn't look, with like it had the same zip as it did in 2019 pre-shoulder surgery. So a lot of different things, but in the end, they gotta figure things out. They gotta figure things out in a hurry because 1-4. To me, it's not even about pushing for a playoff spot. It's just about showing they can be competitive again, because really they haven't really shown that they can play competitive football since the first week when they won in Edmonton. And I think, that would be a big step this week, just to get everything firing once again and at least play a close football game against what I think is a very good Hamilton team.
Yeah, and, the extended rest, I guess they had a bye week. The Ticats are playing on a quick turnaround, so maybe they'll look to kind of strike at that. I do want to talk about some of the key moves that have been made in the last couple of weeks, and we'll start with Kenny Stafford, because this seems like a guy who can come in, who knows the CFL, knows the Canadian game. He seems like somebody who can come in and they'll try to look to pretty early on in his Redblacks debut, I guess.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how a lot of these receivers, I mean, they brought in a lot of receivers, right? So, whether it's Kenny Stafford, whether it's Terrence Williams with experience in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, I'm curious to see where these guys fit in. Irvin Phillips is another player that, has seen first-team reps this week at practice out of Syracuse University. And he dressed last week for his first Canadian Football League game. There's no doubt they haven't got enough from that position. And, the losses of Saunders and Sinopoli have hurt for sure. I do think they have some good receivers. I think, Ryan Davis has a lot of potential in this league as an explosive slot receiver type. RJ Harris is a guy that can certainly be a reliable target. And, Nate Bahar has taken a step as a Canadian receiver that, had a lot of promise, saw him a lot at Carleton University, and just couldn't find his way. I mean, it took him a while. I don't know if it had a little bit to do with the fact that he missed that first camp in Edmonton, and kind of like, they say about starting a season like that, sometimes you're jumping on a treadmill when it's going full bore, and that's not easy to do, right? So Bahar looks like he's taken some steps in that direction. So there's some promising players here in terms of receivers, but too many drops so far. And Dedmon's another guy. I mean, we saw Devontae Dedmon in 2019 as a return guy, and a player that is dangerous every time he touches the football. And he missed the last game against BC. He's been dangerous not just in the return game, but even in limited action on offense, whether he had to fill in at running back or at receiver or whatever. So I would expect that he's going to see more time as well, just because he's a guy that is so dangerous every time he touches the ball.
The other big signing in the last little bit here, Duck Hodges, certainly getting a lot of attention. I know Lapo was on your station, TSN 1200 today, talking about it. He's already saying maybe we should lower our expectations, but this has got to be a bit of a buzz in Ottawa. A guy with NFL experience who wanted to come up here, signing a 3-year contract. What's kind of the buzz around Hodges here?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of excitement just surrounding, what he did in college, which was, he broke records at the FCS level playing for Samford University in Alabama. So there's that. The fact that he did win some games with the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 years ago, and just his genuine enthusiasm to be here. I mean, he wouldn't have that genuine enthusiasm if he wasn't going to sign a 3-year deal, right? So obviously he wants to be a part of the league. And I would also preach patience. I mean, it takes guys, especially quarterbacks, a long time to kind of figure things out and learn the Canadian game. So I'm not expecting that he's going to come in and play right away. I'm expecting, he'll learn the game and at his pace, hopefully pick up the offense and just the nuances of the Canadian Football League quickly. And, maybe by the end of the season, they can find a way to get him in. But to think that he's going to come in here in the next couple of weeks and make an impact, I think is probably asking a little bit too much. So I understand why Coach Lapo is preaching patience when it comes to that, because this is definitely a long-term move more than a short-term fix.
I was about to say, I mean, it almost seems like Lapo is the perfect coach for Hodges in this situation. A guy who knows the offense, has been a quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator. How do you feel like they'll connect as player coach?
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be an issue, right? I mean, you never know how it's going to play out, but just the fact that I think the players do love playing for him, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where he's, not just the head coach, but he is the offensive coordinator, and a very detailed coach and someone that leaves no stone unturned when it comes to, trying to be as creative offensively as possible. I just know from working the league, back since 2014, just how much he is, I don't know if I want to say feared, but certainly respected by defensive players in terms of his offenses in the past few years. And, it's been a slow start here this year for sure on that side of the ball, but we have seen at least some signs of life. They are moving the ball a little bit more. Net offense is way up the last couple of games since Dominic Davis has started. So no doubt, I think, any offensive player like that comes in is raved about his preparation and what they've brought to the table. They just have to find a way to put it all together.
When it comes to putting it all together, the defense started so well, allowing under 25 points first 3 games. Last few games, seems like it's just kind of gotten away from them. How do you expect them to get back on track against a Hamilton team? I mean, that isn't really, let's be honest here, if they're going with David Watford, if they're still without guys like Addison, and I mean, this seems like an opportunity for the defense to get back on track on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope that it's more than just the loss of 2 key secondary guys in Abdul Kenna and Sherrod Baltimore, because they looked so good those first 3 weeks and kept Ottawa in those games when they couldn't move the ball, and the last couple of games when they've moved the ball a little bit more and scored a few more points. It's been tough. I mean, number one, the offense has to ensure that I think it starts on that side of the ball. You can't turn the ball over. You can't give the opposition a short field or gift them points. They gifted them, BC 14 points, 7 in special teams and 7, with that pick 6 at the end of the first half against the Lions. So I think it starts with that, but they just have to do a better job in a lot of different areas. I think week 1 to week 5, I expected week 1, things to be a little bit sloppy, but what we saw last week in BC, missed tackles and missed assignments, it just wasn't good enough. So no doubt they could use the likes of Baltimore and Kenna in the secondary, but they're not going to be back this week. So I think this group has to find its way, and hopefully from an Ottawa perspective, over the course of the last week, they've been able to fix some of the issues that they had in the last couple of weeks, and we'll see if they can kind of show a little bit more of what they showed the first 3 weeks of the season, because certainly the talent is there, starting with the man in the middle, Avery Williams.
I think it's safe to say you've probably been to about 1,000 sporting events in the city of Hamilton, or in the city of Ottawa, excuse me. That's probably an underestimation, but what's it been like to have fans after everything we've been through? This home game to Wednesday night game under the lights. I mean, what's it been like to get to celebrate this team? And again, it's gone through many iterations, but we love the Red Blacks now, right? I mean, what does it mean to have fans back at TD Place?
Yeah, it's great. It's just another sign that we're getting a little bit more back to normal, right? So it started with some basketball, Blackjacks basketball. They were able to welcome 1,000 fans to a handful of games towards the end of the CEBL season. Then Atletico Ottawa, the soccer team, finally was able to play a home game, after playing in a couple of bubbles in PEI and Winnipeg, and all about that, Louie. And they got 12,000 of their first game, which was fantastic. As you know, the limits in Ontario are 15,000. So I think just kind of another step towards normalcy, right? And it felt the buzz was back, and now it's just about making sure the fans go home happy a little bit, because it's been going back to 2019, 10 straight home losses, which is never a good thing. I know a lot of fans, and whether this changes with the all vaccinated situation at TD Place going forward, that everyone's going to have to be vaccinated to attend a game, I'm not sure, but I know they had over 2,000 deferrals of season ticket holders that said keep my money, and basically I'll be back in 2022. So yeah, everyone's got a different level of comfort, but I know just having that buzz back is great. Now they're just hoping for a better home performance after a couple that maybe weren't up to snuff.
Well, some of my favorite memories covering this league, of course, the Grey Cup in Ottawa. I know that city loves their football, and like I said, return to normalcy. Hopefully we'll see it a lot more full sooner rather than later. AJ, thank you so much for connecting. Great to chat with you, buddy.
My pleasure, Louie.
And my thanks to AJ for joining me today on Speaking with the Enemy. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Ticats audio network so you never miss an episode. And make sure to join us on Tiger Cats pregame on Wednesday, when Courtney, Steven, and I will be joined by the color commentator for the Red Blacks on a new edition of pregame edition, I should say, of Speaking with the Enemy. As mentioned, like and subscribe so you never miss an episode here on the Ticats audio network. Thanks for checking us out today. You can catch me on Ticats Today, it dropped today. And you can catch me on Ticats Today, all leading up to the game on Wednesday. For the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.